more 50 series, but here we have 50.
What up? How you doing, man? Yeah, we'll do that. I was like, I recognize that voice from Maddie.
I was just looking at. Have you met my man Matt?
How you doing? Good to meet you, Kyle. Good to meet you. That's Matt.
He says modestly, as if the entire world doesn't know.
I've watched you guys all the time. Stop it. Don't get it. I was hoping you were going to say, oh, you're not.
Do you see the halo?
Oh my god. What am I, an LED panel?
Yes, and I am so thrilled to kick off this show with a keynote by one of the most consequential companies in the world, NVIDIA. But over the past 3 decades, he has established NVIDIA as a force. Today, NVIDIA is pioneering breakthroughs in AI and accelerated computing. Thanks to his leadership, NVIDIA's innovations enable advanced chatbots.
I mentioned a kingly version of the Titan 18, and this is it, the Dragon Edition Norse Myth. Quite a mouthful. I've done it a few times now. So it looks very smart. It has this fruity dragon insert in the top deck, which is set a few mil below the surface. It's not just an optical illusion, it's a piece of hardware. And when we move to the right, we can see this acid-etched lid design. It feels really good. I doubt you'll see quite as much on camera as I'm feeling in the real world, but it's really neat and I imagine horribly expensive. Also, you'll note a mouse with the same dragon aesthetic. And we come across and we have mention of storage. This laptop has 4 M.2 bays. 1 is Gen 5, 3 are Gen 4, and this is the cooling for the M.2 storage. This is going to be a very strange and short video because these 3 graphics cards do not exist. Thanks to Dr. Lisa Su of AMD yesterday doing a keynote where she did not mention RDNA 4 at all. From thick to thin, Red Devil, Hellhound, Reaper. Now I'll give these a quick turnover so you can see the size of the cooler, the triple power connectors. There's a label which may or may not have information, but we can't confirm that. And then we go down to Hellhound, obviously the logo on the fans. Hellhound on the back. Again, a label. And then we have the Stealthy Reaper, significantly thinner, triple fan, dual power connector, but there is a label. So you won't see the word Reaper anywhere on that graphics card. On the left, the Tower 600, a case we have seen before in gravel sand. We move across to the Tower 600 in bubble pink, and then we have not big letters at the top. We have here in small letters, Lightyear green. They were apparently going to call this case Emerald. That's not Emerald. Lightyear, not sure what it means, but I do like the colour. I also like the contrast of the green and the white. And then we have the new colour of 2025, Future Dusk. Last year was all Hydrangea Blue. Future Dusk is a kind of slightly purplish with a slightly different greyish on that interior panel. It's smart and it's catchy. I'm looking forward to seeing that under white lighting because the lighting here in this room is a little bit peculiar and sepia. Then we have the Tower 600 in racing green. We've asked for review samples in racing green. I don't think I've ever yet seen one of them. Very smart. And finally, Bumblebee yellow, which I have indeed seen. It's the 5090X3 that's the star of this particular show. I think we should give it a round of applause. And by weight, I'm going to say by weight, it's approximately half the weight. The difference is absolutely spectacular. Clearly that's down to the cooler. The focus here is the Extreme 5 memory with the 40 years logo. Very understated, very swish. And we can see the speeds. Now we know the issues with Intel Arrow Lake. This is Core Ultra 9285K. But what we're focusing on here is the memory. And we just take a moment to pause and reflect just how hard the memory manufacturers have had to work with this new platform. Things have not gone smoothly and there's still plenty of work remaining. I don't think it's a coincidence they're using a ROG Maximus Z890 Apex motherboard. And Matt, if you just could briefly go back, having seen those monumental numbers, a quick reminder of the platform in question. When you look at these products, you might think they look familiar. Does this not look, for example, somewhat like the Deepcool Assassin? It turns out that Shenzhen Fluence is a couple of years older than Deepcool. And that cooler there, the RZ or RZ820 on the end, is a copper-based air tower that's rated up to 290 watts TDP. I'll pop off the top cover. And you can imagine pulling out the fan, releasing the screws, and away you go. This RZ820X next to it is exactly the same cooler, it's just missing the fan there, so one fan in the middle. Moving along the line, we have a twin tower cooler called the RT620, which is rated at 265 watts. But the more interesting version to the left is the RT620 Digital. We can see on top of the cooler, it has a temperature readout, and behind that there's a laptop which is running the software from CPS, which is controlling the shooting match. Those four coolers all have copper bases, however the RZ400 has direct contact heat pipes on the base. It's a different approach, but of course you can't see that from this angle. It's rated at 245 watts and has a single 120mm fan. That's quite an impressive specification for a cooler that has a fan running up to 2200 RPM. The RT400 is even smaller, but that supports a TDP of up to 235 watts. Has a single fan up to 2200 RPM once again. All these coolers seem like they have a very solid place in many PC builds, but the really exciting thing is we have an array of hardware for graphics cooling, which is work in progress at this very moment. It is being manufactured as we speak. 50 series GPU coolers. With 40 series and previous series, it was very complicated for companies such as AlphaCool to manufacture. Basically, they had to measure graphics cards and make coolers to fit. This time around, they've basically been taken in as a partner by let's get this absolutely straight, by the card manufacturers who are customers of NVIDIA. And on the table we have two Palette Master Series graphics cards. They're both RTX 5090, one obviously in black, the other obviously in white. What might be less obvious is they have a lacquered finish and look absolutely stunning. And I truly hope the camera picks it up. Plus it'll probably pick up a reflection of Matt holding the camera. I'm going to turn one of these dual fan graphics cards around. Now, we peeled off the protective plastic ourselves. I confidently predict by the end of the show they're going to be covered in fingerprints. Right now, they are pristine and look absolutely stunning. I've been told I mustn't say this, but I'm going to say it. This is how Founders Edition should be. They look banging. Two fans, a huge vent there, and when we turn it around, you can see it's triple slot. I like the dual slot Founders, but this has got a certain je ne sais. Pricing, unknown, bound to be more than a regular 5090. I suspect these will be at the top of the stack for Palette. I like them a great deal. The products Matt's been talking about so far are launching in the very near future during Q1. Think the next month or so, January, possibly February. This case, on the other hand, won't be coming for half a year. All we know at the moment is a prototype. Half a year, that means Computex. So, it's a case, it looks nice and smart, but we move on to the final product, which has genuinely grabbed my attention. The Meg Maestro 900PZ series mod, System 2 and System 1, because this has two PCs in it, and the cards are slightly confusing. If we look over to the right-hand side, this card applies. It's the MPG Z890i Edge TI Wi-Fi, i.e. Mini ITX Intel, single graphics card, which we're told is an RTX 4070 Ventus 3X. When we go to the left-hand system, this is where things get a bit weird. The motherboard is a Meg Z890 Ace. That's not peculiar. The processor, Core Ultra 9 285K, but according to this card, the graphics card, we have one RTX 4090 Supreme X 24G and one RTX 4070 Ti Supreme X. In other words, two graphics cards, both Supreme, but apparently not identical. To my eyes, they look identical, so I'm not sure what's going on there. The power connections are different, so no doubt they are actually different graphics cards. Who the heck mates a 4090 with a 4070 Ti? That is peculiar. And we step up to the MO27Q2 27-inch QD OLED 240 Hz refresh. I doubt the camera will do this justice, particularly under this lighting. By eye, that looks properly decent. Let's just move a little bit. Colors, absolutely lovely and amazingly responsive. Now this FO27Q5P claims to be the first Quad HD monitor with 500 Hz refresh, and it's also HDR True Black 500 certified. DisplayPort 2.1 and HDMI 2.1. Aorus Master 16, very similar, up to 230 watts, 50 series and Intel HX, but happily we have the screen operating so we can see a bit more. And there we see 5090, so 230 watts includes 5090. 16-inch screen, 2560 by 1600, and a 1 terabyte NVMe SSD. Last of the line, the Master 18. So much the same hardware, but a bigger chassis. Curiously, the bigger chassis has an RTX 5080 GPU, again 2560 by 1600, and this is the full-on Core Ultra 9 285HX.